Hello everybody. How's everybody doing today? Oh, John, we're on time today, but another camera has bitten the dust.
What's going on here?
What is going on? Can you all hear us? Can you all, can you pop the sound on, Lou, to see if I can actually hear it? Can you pop the sound on something? Hello, can people hear? Hello, hello, hello. Everybody? Can anybody hear us? Can we hear? Can we hear, or am I on silent? Because I don't know. Are we on? We can.
Loud and clear. Fabulous.
And Louise as well. Can you hear Louise?
Can you hear me?
Good.
Good.
Right.
Fab.
Excellent. Yes, we've been having a few problems with the sound. I'm not quite sure why, but I've been doing a bit of tinkering, so I hope things do sound a lot better. It's been a manic weekend, hasn't it, though?
No.
No, it hasn't been. It's been a lovely, relaxing weekend. It's been manic getting back here today.
Yeah, we did rush back.
So good to see everybody coming on. We haven't drunk enough today, so we're just going to have a quick swig now. So yeah, last week one of the cameras went down because I caught my foot in the lead. Got another camera coming later on this week. Went to put on the camera that we use for the board. And that's the size of the packing as well. So we've got to get another camera, yet another camera. The problem is that the one camera that got broke, we can still use to record on, but we can't use to broadcast on, which is what we do on our workshops and also on our Q&As. So I've had to get another camera there. Because I'm going to have to get a bit of a cheapy old camera just to do the board as well now.
Because it is just us, isn't it? There's literally nobody else here.
No, it's just us. Just us, me playing
I'm
with my
literally all the help
switcher.
he's got. It's quite a depressing thought, isn't it?
It is, and you do an amazing job. You do an absolute amazing job. So don't forget, thank you to the people who have sent in their CVs, because we're looking for somebody. We're looking for someone to join us on the bench. Go to andrewberry.com/jobs. All right. All the information. We want somebody to work with us on the bench. You must have in the region of 3 years bench experience at making and preferably repairs as well. Must be good with your social medias as well. It's going to be an initial 3-month contract. We're looking at someone sort of part-time. Initial 3-month contract with the chance of employing someone full-time but part-time. A full contract, but no. No, I'll say no. Forget it, Andrew. Forget I ever said that. Yes, Louise.
Part-time.
Part-time, but
possibly
permanent.
extended.
Permanent.
Possibly extended.
Yes.
But still part-time. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. I should just shut up, really, shouldn't I?
You're HR nightmare, you are.
So don't forget, andrewberry.com/jobs if you're interested in joining us. You've got to be in the UK because you've got to be in the workshop downstairs. We had a few people say, do I have to be in the UK? Well, yes, you do. You've got to be able to come to us and be in the workshop downstairs. It's an amazing opportunity. You get to sit next to me, you get to sit next to Lee, you've also got Louise as well to help you with things like your social medias. So this would be ideal if you do have sort of like your own sort of business, but you want to have a bit more of a regular income as well. So that'd be really good, and we'd certainly help you with all that as well.
It's best of both worlds, really, isn't it? If you're working for yourself but want the security of guaranteed hours, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah. But we're based in South Wales, so we're kind of 20 miles north of Cardiff-ish. Yeah. So
and about 20 miles south of the Brecon Beacons.
Yeah.
So it's a really good place to be.
So that's where we are, Mo, and anyone else who's interested. Yeah. Yes.
So just come along, andrewberry.com/jobs. That's my microphone's just fallen out of my pocket. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. Anything else you want to say?
I don't think so.
No, I think we're just going to get cracking straight on with it, shall we, today?
But if you've got any questions, do email me if you want to know where we are, or any more about the role itself, or anything, if you want to know anything. Just,
exactly. And again, there's Louise's email address. I have to zoom in on this camera because my other camera's broke. Louise@andrewberry.co.uk, and you can go to andrewberry.com/jobs. Okie dokies. Had to do the old-fashioned way and zoom out. There we go. There we go. Yeah, John, it's another camera. When to turn it on, nothing's coming out of it, so I've got to buy another camera. Bought one camera, have to buy another one now. It's only a little cheapy one it was, just literally for the board.
Perhaps that's why it broke.
It wasn't a cheapie, it was an old one, but...
what does Grace say? Buy cheap, buy twice.
It wasn't actually cheap.
Right.
These cameras, when they were new, because they're not brand new now, because they're a few years old, they're like £1,000 a pop. We got 4 of them in here. Well, yeah, we have got 4 of them in here. So, you know.
I've got to sort it. Can I have a new chair? I don't know if you can hear that.
We're spending money on cameras, not chairs.
Okay. Perhaps an Upton crate, anything that
An
doesn't squeak.
crate, like milk crates that we use.
Do you have some questions?
All your problems are yours. Oh, you do. All right, should we have some questions?
Yes.
It is Monday. I don't even know what date. What is that? I even forgot my glasses today. What's the date today? 19th.
I might be able to help you there, Andrew.
Oh, you've got my glasses in there. Hey. Nice one. Here we go. Thank you. I remember now. It's the 25th, right? I thought it was the 19th. That was last week.
It's the 25th. Yeah, time has moved on since then.
25th of April, 4 p.m. Time for our Q&A. Louise, let's have our first question, please.
Yes, the first question is Victoria, who's really chuffed to be the first person to comment. So Victoria's question comes with a photo. I have just made a big chunky silver bracelet. It's a chunky chain. I have some scratches where I have joined the jump rings together to create the chain. I have tried filing them as best I can and papered them. What is the best way to polish and get a good finish, please? So I can show you some photos.
Please, yes.
Just
laptop.
give me
Sorry.
1 second to find the photos.
So we have some photographs. So where the chain was joined? Let me see. Should we have a look?
Some scratches where I've joined the jump rings together to create the chain. So yeah. So yes, this I love it. It's fab, isn't it?
I can't see.
You got your glasses?
No, I can't see.
No.
What are we looking at?
It's a chain. Look.
Yeah, I can see the chain. I can see the chain. Is there any more pictures?
Yes. Yep.
What file the joint, is it? The joint?
Oh, hi. Oh, there you are, Victoria. Hi. Sorry, lovely. I didn't mean to. But it's a gorgeous photo of you. Let's go this way. So that's
the trick. I think is to try and. I think the trick is to try and get the joins where the links are going to be touching. So in the case of an oval chain, try and get your joins at that point there. So then the next chain will go in, you know what I mean? And that will actually cover where that join is. So if you have your joins here, so I think I can see, are they round or are they oval?
They look to be, are they round or are they oval, Victoria?
Not quite
they
sure.
look pretty
Not
round.
quite sure.
But this is, it's a big, just slip onto my, yeah.
Let's have another look.
It's lush. I love chunky silver jewellery.
Nice and tight, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fab.
So there's not much you can really do. It's okay, trying to kill me again.
Just try to trip you up.
Hang on a second. There we go. So the problem is if you can do it oval, then have the joins exactly right, and you can get away with perhaps not having fantastic, neat, flush joins. Yes.
It's more scratches from the tools, and they're round.
Oh, from the tools?
Yeah.
So what tools have you used? Really, you should only be using like a bit of a buff stick on the joins, just to remove it. So perhaps hold it with something like these sort of ring clamps. Let's zoom out on that one.
I like that textured bangle as well, Victoria. Is that one of yours too? That's really nice.
So you've got this, you can put the link in here, then you can put it on your peg and you can then buff it with your buff sticks, and that's all you really need to do. You can either use the buff sticks or you can come along with something like these little sanding drums just to get on the inside of the curves, perhaps just to try and get the inside neat.
Flat nose pliers to join the links. So this with masking tape is your friend.
Yeah, I would definitely get some flat. If you are doing that, the first thing that you should always do when you get a pair of pliers is, I'm trying to look from overhead, there you are there, is pliers have always got sharp corners. So these inside corners are always going to be sharp. When you get your tools first, you should always come along just to remove these edges, okay? Just a bit of emery paper, just to remove these. Yeah, sorry, there are these edges here, which is just the insides of the jaws, because they are going to be sharp. So a buff stick, or get a little needle file and then just polish up the inside edges. If you do that, then there's no sharp edge to mark the chain. It doesn't help you now because you've done that. So the only thing that I could suggest is that you come along with a buff stick and just follow the contours. Hold the hold the chain in a ring clamp, because they're leather lined, they're not going to mark the links. Hold it in that and go over each link, following the direction of the curve, just to try and remove them. As I said, coming onto the inside of the link, these little sanding drums that we got here are going to be ideal. Again, we sell these in our store, cylinder burrs and bullet points with Eve polishing, and also these little sanding drums as well. Again, we sell them on the store as well, and that's going to get more so on the on the inside of the links. Once you've done that, then you just need to polish it. Again, very, very careful when it comes to polishing. If you're using something like a flex shaft, again, you can hold it really in your hand, or what I would be advised to do is to stretch it and put it over your peg, so then you can polish each individual section one by one, keeping the chain taut. Because the problem is, if you have that chain a bit loose and you're polishing with your flex shaft and it gets a bit caught, it'll wrap round and the chain will fly around at you. So eye protection, but I would put it over your peg to polish. I can't really suggest much more than that really, but obviously prevention is going to be the best thing the next time. So tidy up the inside edges of your flat. These are quite sharp actually. So as I said, definitely come along and just file these inside edges. Yes, Lou?
That's okay. No, I was going to ask a stupid question.
No questions.
No, it was a stupid question.
Okay. Okay, so we have another question.
But it's lush. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really cool.
Absolutely lovely, yeah. Let's have another question now.
Okay, let's see. Okay, fab. Tanya is saying, I want to make round hoop earrings, and what hinge would I use, please?
It depends on the size of them. I think you can get away if you've got nice. If say your earlobe is like that, like a cartoon earlobe, and then you have obviously the earring. If you have something that's nice and big that looks like that, you can get away with something coming around, just making the ear white coming around. You can just make a small little ring like that. This would come round and just poke through. That would be the easiest way of doing it, and obviously then you just got to make sure that this back part here isn't too long. So then, is that in focus, or these torches are in focus? Aren't they? Let's put these torches out of the way. And then you can simply pull the wire back, because this little comes around like that. Yeah. Okay, that would be the easiest way to do it. The other way to do it, if you want to make the earrings thick, really thick, perhaps say 2mm diameter, you're going to have to make a lap joint where the section comes along and it does that. So that would be the joint. So the earrings would come round nice and thick. They are going to be, how can I draw this, Andrew? How can I draw this? This is yes, something like that. So that would be on the one piece that way, and then this other piece here would be, this is really hard to draw, da-dum, da-dum, da-da-da-dum, like that. There we go, we got it. And that wire would come on round. I can't do it. Yes, something like that, basically, and that's the wire going around. Does that make sense? Can you see that? So that would be the only way to do it, and then this then goes into here, you drill a hole through, and you make it that way. That would be the only other way to do it. And if you buy those very small little sleepers that you used to have when you were a kid, the only sleepers that you could actually wear going into school, and they were hinged, that is how they were. Not that I wore them, obviously. And then where it comes onto the top here, you make this coming over like that, and then this underneath like that. And they will click together. Difficult to explain, easier to show. And I think, did you send a ticket in wanting to make some hinges on some heavy sleepers? If you did, we will should be doing that over the next few weeks. But if it's thick, you've got to make a lap joint. No, that's not a lap joint, it's a box. Actually, my brain's gone. Such a lovely relaxing weekend, my brain's gone. It's not a lap joint, it's one of these joints, yeah, like that. But then when it comes down to the clasp, it has to look like that, so they could click, it clicks in together. That's about it. That's all I can really explain at the moment. But if you want to make it out of thin wire, the thin wire can bend, and you can simply do it with a little loop on the top. You may have seen some adverts on Facebook over the last few weeks from a company that has very, very thin wire, and it comes around into just a little ring like that, and that then would go through there like that. There we go. Okay, let's have another question.
Okay, Dylan is saying, I have a wristband to possibly repair. What would you suggest for clasp types for carpal tunnel? A wristband to possibly repair, clasp types. Clasp types for
a wristband, as in like a watch? No?
I don't know. I'm not sure. This is like a medical question, isn't it? Really, is it for does the user have carpal tunnel, and is it to relieve pressure on the wrist?
Don't know.
Have you got any more info,
yeah, give us
Dylan,
more
on that?
Information,
Because
Dylan. Yeah.
we don't really know huge amounts about.
No, unless
well,
it's
we
just,
have some, don't we? But
unless it's just the clasp that's the easiest to put together, perhaps.
Yeah, let us know. For a bracelet, and yes, so the wearer has carpal tunnel. A clasp for a bracelet.
Sure, it's a very.
I don't think anything like that would alleviate the symptoms, or would it?
Is it to help carpal tunnel, or is it the person has problems?
Has problems with
maneuverability with the hand, perhaps?
Yeah. Do you mean to help relieve it, Dylan? Because I really don't know.
There wouldn't be anything. But if it's clasp-wise, it's got to be the easiest clasp to do, doesn't it?
You can't close a conventional clasp.
So
so it's ease of opening and closing it then.
So I suppose the best type of clasp is going to be...
Easier to attach based on the clasp. Okay.
It's going to be one that is... how can I draw this? It's just like a fold-over clasp. I would have thought all you got to do is put it together.
Like a watch?
Yeah, like a fold-over clasp. So that's like the bracelet going on here, and this is the fold-over clasp bit here that folds over, that would, and that then would come over.
No, Dylan, you're fine. That's okay.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So that's what I can think. You just have to try and make a little fold-over catch. I'm gonna sneeze a minute. Excuse me a second.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, a fold-over catch, I think, is going to be the best way to do it. 3 knuckle. The one knuckle here would go onto this half that would then come over, and this little area by here would snap into a little area down here. And the opposite end, then you'd have that sort of idea. So then all that has to do is just go through, and then they got to do is just fold it over. And then to open it, all you got to do then is flick it open, as opposed to try and pull triggers and try and pull the chains round. So something like that, a fold over clasp may be easier, difficult to make, but easier for the wearer to put it together. I would have thought so, yeah. Okay, let's have another question. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that. Okay.
Because you don't want like triggers or carabiners or anything like that. 'Cause that they are really awkward to grab onto to pull back.
I find them awkward.
But like a watch, you just open it that way. One bit comes over, you just fold it together, you over the top, and then click it over that way. That may be the best. Have a look at some watch clasps, fold over clasps on watches. You should get the general gist of the idea.
Okay, good.
Yes, another question.
Okay, magnetic? They're not as secure, though, are they?
Just pull apart, can't they, then? Yeah.
Okay. Helen has just come back from the dentist. Interesting discussion on walls, discs and polishing. Yeah, because there is quite a bit of overlap.
Yes, absolutely.
With burrs, a lot of dental burrs are jeweller's burrs and vice versa, and the polishing discs and things like that. So yeah, there's...
And same brands make the dental ones, Comet and Bursch.
Comet make dental burrs, Bursch, yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, let's see. Any more questions? Yes. David is saying, in the video hollow hinged bangle, Andrew had to make the spacer rings smaller. Why did he not cut through the rings all in one go? I can't
remember what film that was. The hollow hinged bangle. Yeah.
You had to make the spacer rings smaller.
Did I?
Why did you not cut through the rings in one go?
I can't remember. But was it due to... perhaps. I can't remember. It's been years ago since I did the film. Was it so if I cut through, then I don't have two pieces of bangle flapping around to try and line up? Perhaps if I just cut through one, did I just cut through one? Then I can arrange to put the... Because if you have a complete circle, and if you cut through there and you cut through there, you've now got two separate parts that are going to be difficult to align together. But if you only cut through one, you've still got a complete circle that when you come, I think this is what you're on about, when you come then to put your tube in here, you can easily align it without the two pieces coming apart and moving back and forth. But by having it in one complete whole piece, you can align everything together, and when the tubing comes across, you can then easily solder there. Once you've done that, then you cut across down the bottom here, then the hinge then will work and go back together. So I think that is what you mean, why I didn't cut it all there and there, but just on the one place, just to hold it all together, just to make my life easier. Otherwise you're having to get your third hand to hold that one, hold that piece, get it level, get it right, but keep it whole. It's going to make life a lot easier. I think that's what you mean. Lou, anything else?
Yeah.
Maybe have another one.
Yeah. Maggie is asking, could you demo how to do a portrait or open-sided reverse bezel?
No idea what that would be.
A portrait or open-sided reverse bezel? I don't know.
So Maggie, send me a picture. Send Louise a picture.
Yeah, don't send Andrew a picture because...
Don't send me.
Yeah.
Louise at andrewberry.co.uk. Send Louise a picture. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Is it an open back, or is the edge, the side of the bezels open? Do you set it from the back? I'm not quite sure. Because your mother was saying how many types of settings are there for diamonds, and there is invisible, flush, rub over, channel,
open
prong.
on both sides.
Send me a picture. Please send me a picture.
Is it like a partial bezel then?
I don't know. Please send me a picture. no, I don't know. No, your best bet is something like that is to send Louise a picture. Louise at andrewberry.co.uk. If you can find something that is similar on the internet, let me see a picture. I'll be able to understand what you mean. But to have open bezels on the side, do you mean like a half bezel? I don't know. I have no idea. I can be here all day.
Okay.
Just send Louise a picture.
Yeah, send me a picture.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Kerry is asking, assuming I only work in silver, when would it be reasonable to dispatch a sweeps bag? And when it's full, or when I have 10 full bags? We were talking about this the other day, weren't we?
So your sweeps is what comes off the floor. It's what you've got when you have your little bits of emery paper. All the filings is Lemel. So that should not be in your sweeps bag. That your lemon should be separate from your sweeps bag. A sweeps bag, you've got to, how big is your sweeps bag? You've got to look at how much is the processing charge. Why have I disappeared? I'm back.
Are you back?
I'm back. So you've got to look at, I'm going to disconnect a minute, hang on. You've got to think about, there we go. I should come back now. I should be back. There we go. You've got to look at how much the processing costs are going to be. How much is the company going to charge you? That is what you've got to look at first of all. For us, we've got a big sack. It's about 3.5 foot tall by about 3 foot wide, and we fill it. It takes us a couple of years to fill it. Everything that comes off the floor goes in it. Everything that comes off the worktops here will go in it. Emery papers, all that sort of thing will go in the bag. It takes us a couple of years to do it. Why are we disappearing, Lou?
Don't know.
Why are we disappearing? Let's have a look. Sorry guys, bear with me a second. Let's hope it's not another camera going. That's all we want, is to have another camera going. So yeah, I can't tell you exactly, but what you need to find out how much your processing charges are going to be to start off with. That's the main thing. And then work out how much a return is going to be on a bag. If you've simply got stuff off the floor, it's going to take you years and years and years to do it. If you're constantly using sandpaper, then it's not going to be so bad. But it will take you a long time, especially as the scrap price on silver is 40-50 pence a gram scrap. You may not even get that. Basically, if your processing charges are 50-60 pounds, you're going to have to spend 100 grams, 1,000 grams, whatever. It's a lot. I can't answer that question. I don't know. So as I say, we use gold, we use silver. Our bags are like 3.5, 4 foot by 3 foot. It takes us a couple of years to fill them, and there's usually 2 or 3 of us contributing to that bag. So it's going to take you many, many years. So don't send it off until perhaps you retire, perhaps something like that, and then have all the money back. Because if you've literally only got...
Can I just say it does actually depend on how often you're cleaning and sweeping your workshop as well.
It does, absolutely.
Doesn't it? And
yes.
how often you're wiping
yes.
things around, because even if you wipe a surface with a damp cloth, that's got to go in the sweeps.
Yes.
So it depends how often you're sweeping them up, which, let's face it, in our workshop, we should be doing it a lot more, shouldn't we?
You should be sweeping up every single day, wiping all the surfaces down. But I just worked out then, if your processing cost, for argument's sake, is £50 and you get 50 pence a gram on silver, you've got to have 100 grams of actual silver within your sweeps just to pay for the processing costs. So it makes sense to save it and save it and save it and save it, and then perhaps just send it off, I don't know, once every 4 years, 5 years, something like that. So it's going to be beneficial, because if you just send it off and it comes in at 80 grams, you're going to have to pay for the processing costs. So you have to try and work it out.
So cram it into the bag, Kerry, I think is the answer, isn't it?
Yes. And make sure you clean it every single day. Wipe your bench on every day. I don't. Wipe the floor every day. We do try and do that. We do try and clean all the sills.
I do the floor and put that in into the sweeps. Yeah.
Yeah. So every day to make sure you do that. But I can't answer exact question, unfortunately. But find out how much.
I think
find out how much your processing
referring
costs
to the large
are.
bag. So yeah, it's going to be when it's full. I guess.
As I said, there's 3 of us. It takes a couple of years to fit it. So that's 6. That's 3 people over 2 years fills it. So if you're on your own, that's going to be 6 years. That's another question then.
She might be working hard, or he might be working harder than you. So you're saying that, Andrew? Sorry,
I expect they do work a lot harder than me as well. Yes, absolutely. I quite agree.
Okay. Do you want another question? Mini Maker is saying, I have 3 grams of gold that I want to use for something. I have no rolling mill. How do I hammer to a string? It seems quite difficult.
Forging by hand is going to be difficult, but you can make life a little bit easier. If you get yourself a charcoal block, pretend this is a charcoal block. I'll go on my overhead camera. So pretend this is my charcoal block. get a ruler and mark out with a scribe, okay? Like mark out a long, thin groove, okay, along the charcoal block. Try and make it as long as possible. Get your gold, you can put it into a crucible, or you can even put it inside your charcoal block. This is my border book. I don't have a charcoal block, but it's black for the point of this. And then when you pour the metal into the charcoal block, it'll be quite long and thin. If you can melt it into a blob, well, then you've got a lot of work hammering it and shaping it. But if you can melt it into a shape already that's quite long, it'd be even better. To do that, all you got to do then is simply get a nice bench block, something bigger than this, or like an anvil, and you simply just have to hammer, 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 hammer. You're better off getting something like a cross pane hammer, so your the end of the hammer looks like that, okay, and there's your hammer down here. Okay, so it's a cross pane hammer, so the end of your hammer is sharp-ish, and you want to do that because you want to give, it's my bit of wood again, you want to give your ingot a bit of direction. All right, so let's just zoom in on you a bit more here. So what you want to do is hammer. So when you get your rectangular ingot that you've just brought out of your charcoal block, you want to hammer it with a cross pane hammer. And you want to hammer it, so you're hammering it and you're leaving marks going across. So hammer, hammer, hammer. Here's your cross pane hammer in this angle. Oh gosh, Andrew, it's terrible. Terrible drawing, Andrew. So there's your hammer and you're cutting it. You're hammering it in that direction like that. Turn it over, keep doing it that way. Turn it on 90 degrees and keep doing it. And as you do this, you're adding to the length. If you had a simple flat hammer and you're hammering it, you're squashing it in outwards and lengthways, but you don't want to squash it outwards. You want to keep lengthening it, and by having a cross pane hammer, every time you hammer, it pushes the metal this way, it pushes the metal that way. You bang it again, it pushes the metal that way, it pushes the metal that way. So you're constantly adding length to it. Keep doing that, keep annealing it, and it will get longer and longer. If you want to try and make round wire, so instead of hammering it on the flat like that, turn it 90 degrees and hammer it on the ends, and keep making sure then you turn it round and round and round, and you should get a fairly roundish sort of wire. Once you've done it with a cross pane, to get rid of all those cross marks going across the ingot, hammer it then with the flat just to flatten it and planish it, and then you can make it quite round as well. That's the best way. But don't forget, keep annealing it, keep hammering it, keep shaping it, and you'll know when it needs to be annealed, because it won't be moving, it won't be spreading as well as what it did before. So heat it up, quench it, dry it off onto a block, onto a mandrel, and keep bashing in that direction. Yes, Louise, tell me the question.
Yep. John would like to make a yellow gold billiard table ring. What's the best way to go about it?
Billiard table ring. I'm not quite sure what the billiard table ring is. Is that the triangle?
I don't know.
I'm not quite sure.
Can you give us some
John,
more...
give us a bit more information. What is a billiard table? Is it billiard table? Oh, a ring billiard table. Okay. I thought there's a ring to play on a billiard table. So I'm just...
I imagined
it's a
ring with a billiard table on the top of it.
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking... I was going too far. No, I wasn't being silly. I was going too far in my thought process. I know a billiard table, a snooker table, triangle, but I've never seen a ring. But I guess I know what you mean. How would you go about it? Oh, golly gosh. I would have thought it's going to be using rectangular section wire upon a plate. So there's your plate, thin plate. You get some rectangular section wire, and I would have thought all you got to do is solder it on the top like that.
You might find your balls fall off though.
I didn't know you had loose balls.
So now I'm being silly, sorry.
So that is how I would have thought. Yeah, you would have it like that, and perhaps then you could have a little bit of a semicircle like that, perhaps. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Yeah, like that. And you could even have perhaps a little bit of tubing, perhaps, on the corners like that.
That'd be cool.
And that'd be cool. Yeah, there'd be a tube in there.
You can actually solder some granulation on, couldn't you?
You could, yeah, quite easily. Yeah.
Onto the pool table.
Yeah.
Or you come into that. Sorry.
No, yeah, I was going there. Then you're going to have. Then what you may have to do is do your bulk line like that, and then you got your points. Yeah. And then perhaps just solder that then onto a band. But yeah, I think the easiest thing is to solder on, sweat solder on these little pieces of rectangle with the curves, and then perhaps a little bit of tubing then going down like that.
Send me a picture, John, when you've done it. I'd love to see that.
So let me just zoom in on that for you to have a look at. Off the top of my head, that is perhaps how I would do it, and then put the dots. If you want to come to make up your little balls, but then perhaps you could solder on little balls where they should be, and perhaps gold plate them to differentiate the colours, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, but send us a picture if you manage to do it. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, sounds really cool.
Let's have another.
Okay, let's see. Do you guys have all the supplies for making gold rings? I am from Canada.
On the website, apart from the gold, yes.
Okay.
And gold solder.
Good. Okay. Sandra is saying, I'm struggling a bit making a pair of threader earrings. When soldering the ear wire to the superfine rounded box chain, I'm almost melting the chain. I'm using easy solder. Tips, please.
That chain's got to be thin, isn't it? Don't put the heat anywhere near the chain. I'll draw the chain like this for ease. Zoom in on this. My mum's looking for another camera tonight, Lou.
Okay.
Then here's your bit of wire, bit of rod that will go through. So the problem that you're going to have to get is you have to sweat solder. Let's do it this way around. You're going to have to sweat solder your bit of solder onto the end of your rod. Okay, so put a little bit of solder on the rod there. So that's done, okay? Then I think what you should do is perhaps get something like some yellow ochre paint. Use some pencil lead. You can use some whiteout, some Tipex. Paint it on, perhaps the third link on, and paint it over the chain. So all you're left then is with a couple of links that are loose. Then what you want to do is put a little bit of flux on that end link, bit of flux upon your bit of solder that you've already melted on the end of the wire. This is the trick then. You want to get your torch. Don't ever put your torch pointing in this direction, because the chain, being thin, is going to heat up and it's going to melt. So you want to keep the flame away. So really the flame does not go anywhere near the chain. You personally don't heat up the chain. So what I would do is have the flame coming this way, in this direction, away from the chain. So you've got no way of melting the chain. What you're going to do then is get your pair of tweezers and pick up the chain, perhaps the second or third link along, or on the second link, so it pushes the first link out. Heat up this bit of wire here with your bit of solder onto it. Warm it up. As the flux that you've put on the end of there, especially if you're using borax, is going to start to turn grey and glassy. Because the flame is pointing this way, the chain's not going to melt. You bring the chain, you bring this end link to touch the end of your square wire, and the heat will transfer from this rod onto the chain. The chain will not melt, because if the chain starts to melt, this will be melting, because you're working on the transference of heat to go from here onto the chain. And then as you heat up this rod, you bring this in. As that link touches and the heat transfers from here, and that solder starts to melt, the solder will then quickly flow onto that end link. The rest of the chain won't melt. The rest of the chain won't be solid with solder, because your whiteout or your Tipex or your yellow ochre or your pencil lead, whatever you use, powdered rouge mixed up with a little bit of water, Painting on all of these links will stop the solder from flowing. You may end up soldering the 2 first links together, but that should be fine. But that is how I would do it. I'm not quite sure what else to say, but the problem is you've got to keep the flame away from the chain. Don't even try and bring the torch into this position here, because this chain is going to melt before the wire does, because the wire has a greater mass. So always point the flame away. Heat up the bar. The bar will get up to temperature, the solder will be at the right temperature, the chain is touching the solder, the heat will be transferred, and as soon as that starts to melt, you can then take the flame away and it will be soldered. And you can clean it up then using safety pickle and that sort of thing. There we go. Nice. And that's how it works in theory. In practice, you're going to have to practice it, I would have thought. But yeah, that's how you would do it. Yes. So another question.
Okay. John is saying, I see advertised high polish sometimes. What's the difference from high polish or not?
High polish or not. You can, obviously, when it comes to polish, you're going to have different grades of polish. You're going to have some polish that is going to be oilier, thicker, grittier than another polish. I've got some polish in my tray here. This is a little bit of Tripoli. You can see it's brown and it's quite oily. If you put your fingers over it, it's quite gritty. You can feel it's slightly gritty on your fingers, and it is quite oily. Whereas this, which is a bit of Radio Rouge, is a lot finer. This, then you can rub your finger on it. It comes off really easy on your finger. You can do that with your fingers and you don't feel any grit. So the finer the polish, the more superior finish you're going to get. The Tripoli will polish. It'll get a certain shine to it, but not a fantastic shine, because the grit is a little bit more coarse. The cutting action is a little bit greater. So once you've used the Tripoli or a pre-polish, come up then to a high polish, a super finish. We sell these bars of Radio Rouge in the store, and that then you would use a lovely soft swan's down mop that is very, very soft. The polish is very, very fine, and as you polish, you will get a better finish on the piece. So I always think of a hard polish. A grittier, coarse polish needs a hard mop. Okay, but a lovely, soft, gentle, high finish sort of polish needs a lovely, lovely soft mop, and that's the way that I would do it. Yes, Lynn?
Would you call, I don't call them mops, see, and I'm not trying to tell you what to say or do, but because I only ever use the white nylon brushes with the Tripoli.
Yes.
So I just think brushes with the Tripoli and then mops with the Rouge, and that's how I remember. Because would you use an actual soft mop? You wouldn't use it with the Tripoli, would you? No,
you'd have to use a hard mop. Have a look. What we got here? We got some here. So this is this is like a soft swan's down mop, and it is really soft. You can see how beautiful and soft that is. You can see how lovely and beautiful and soft and fluffy that is. Yeah. What were you saying? You would use bristle brushes.
I was just thinking of the pendant motor. I wasn't thinking of the.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay. And then you'd have these sort of mops then that are nice and hard, and that's still wrapped up. But this is hard. You can't separate it. So that's a hard mop that I would use with Tripoli. The first one I would use with Rouge. If you're coming along and using a flex shaft, you do exactly the same thing. You would use these white nylon brushes, okay? And the white nylon brushes are hard, so you would use a little bit more of a pre-polish, a Tripoli with that because it's hard. If you try to use that with Rouge, even though you may be using a Rouge or a superfine finish, the bristles are just that little bit hard, and the bristles would mark the metal. If you're using a pendant motor, or a flex shaft, or a Dremel, I would use something like these here, which are again These are hard mops. These are felt mops. You'd use these, and you can get them in bullet points or knife edges, which are hard. Okay, so they don't conform to a surface. And you're looking at me rather strange. Why is that, Louise? Why are you looking at me? I've never seen them before.
Yeah.
You've never showed me them.
You don't show me these things.
Because the polishing that you're doing is uneven.
Okay.
That is flat. That will not get into your nooks and crannies, okay?
Right.
Whereas the the white nylon brushes will conform to the shape.
Yeah.
But once you've used your Tripoli or your pre-polish with these hard mops, you would then transfer over to lovely. You can't even hear them hitting because they're soft. The fibres are soft. You'd use your Tripoli, no you wouldn't, you'd use your Rouge or your Super Finish because these are super soft brushes. Woolen mops, lovely, and that is how I would differentiate between the two. Can't remember what the question was now, but that was a little lesson in polishing. So another question, Lou.
Okay. Okay, Lois is asking, what is the best length for prongs on a faceted stone? Is there a trick when setting them over the stone?
There is sort of like a formula that you want to adhere to. So here will be your stone, like that. Depending upon the size of the stone, this is not always the same. It's like flush setting, isn't it? When you flush set, up to 2 millimeters, the table should be pretty much level with the surface. If the stone is bigger than 2 millimeters, well then the table can be above the surface. So if you have got a claw setting and the claws come up here, okay, so there's your claws sticking up like that. Let me try and zoom in again. So here we go. So there's your claw. What you don't want to do is bend your claw over so the claw is like that, because that's a bit silly, isn't it? That's going to cover. So usually small-ish stones, I would like to come up to perhaps 2 mil, 3 mil stones, perhaps halfway up the stone itself. Okay, so you got that, and then what you do with the claw is up to you. You may want to, here's the stone here, you may want to have a round claw, you may want to have a pointy claw, you may want to have a square end claw, you may want to have like there's all these different shapes of claws that you can have that go over the stone. Once the stone gets bigger, perhaps bigger than 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, if you have that length claw going over the stone, it's going to be too much. So then you can start to bring the claw a little bit further back. And make sure that it is nicely rounded on the top, and make sure it is touching. So that is a formula, even though it's not necessarily a written formula. Small stones, half this length, from there to there, it'll be half, but as the stone gets bigger, that distance gets less and less and less. And obviously the thicker the claw, if you have really thick claws, you can get away with claws that aren't as long because you've got a lot of strength in the width of the claw. But that would be what I would do. And then whatever you want to do, you could use a little ball burr to make a cup burr to go over the top to make it rounded. You can file it into a bit of an angle like that. If you want it to be really unusual, you can have really nice long pointy claws, but obviously remember, just round them off slightly, don't make them too pointy because they're going to catch. But yeah, experiment with different claws. So that would be my sort of formula that I would use. Yes, Lou.
Okay, Tess is framing a lovely old Italian coin. What is the order of soldering the 3 clamps and the bail to the round frame? The solder on the clamps melted and they turned sideways when I tried to add the bail.
I would suggest different grade solder. And yeah, the way I look at it is that you want to start off with the thickest pieces of metal first, and then as you go, you end up with the thinnest little pieces of metal to solder on. So perhaps if you had a frame and you had a big bail like that upon the top, I know I've exaggerated for the point of emphasizing this, and then you had tiny little, say, claws coming around here, what you want to do is solder that onto that first, and then solder on your claws last, because they are the smallest things. The other thing that you could do is when you solder on your claws onto your, I'm not quite sure exactly how you've done it, but say you've got your claws coming like this above like that. Okay, so you've soldered the claws on, so those are your claws there. Okay, got your 4 claws standing up, and then you want to solder on your bail that is going to go, for argument's sake, like that. Okay, what I would do is perhaps turn this upside down, so now your claws are sitting below the piece. Push that into a charcoal block, or if you've got one of the blocks, the honeycomb blocks with all the hundreds and thousands of little holes in it, push it down into the block, so should the solder come undone, the claws aren't going to go anywhere because they're still being held. If you've used a hard solder on the bezel, I would use hard solder again on the claws, and then I would use an easy solder putting the bail onto that. But if you can hold all of these together whilst you solder the bail on, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Or don't put the claws on yet, solder your big bail onto that first and then solder your claws on. And don't forget also what I would do if you're doing that, again, to make life so much easier, I would have one piece of wire that goes across, okay, like that, and then this piece of wire would go across like that. So you'd have one bit of wire in a U shape like that, and another piece like that. Okay, so then you have 2 pieces of wire, you solder them in the middle, so you've got 2 pieces of wire like that. They're soldered here. You bend them to form claws. Okay, you solder the claws into place. Don't snip the wire off. Solder your bail on, because all these wires are being held into position by these little U pieces over across the top, and they've been soldered here, so they're not going to move. Solder your bail on. Once your bail has been soldered on, then come along and cut off that little top section, and then all you've got left then are your little claws on the top. And that would be a good little trick to do as well, because you're not soldering each individual claw, you're soldering that little spider shape on top of the outside of the bezel. And we've done that on quite a few films on At the Bench. We did a few months ago, we've done settings, pear-shaped settings. We've just done it on the pendant that we did for the Lacroix look pendant. We made settings in that particular way there, and then we soldered the bail on, then snip the top piece off, and all the claws are going to stay together. Let's have another question.
Okay, Julia is asking, how would you make a bezel for a square or princess cut? I have been trying to make 2 L-shaped seconds, then making mitre joints for the other 2 corners, and the mitres are so difficult to get right.
I wouldn't bother with mitre joints. You're going to cause yourself, as you found out, hassle. So you would get 1 piece of metal. You get 2 pieces of metal actually. And what you would do, you would mark off here, you would make a little V in that, like that. Okay, so there's your V shape there. You would then bend that, so you've got that shape now. Okay, so that now is your section. You've got 2 L-shaped pieces of metal. Don't try and mitre. I'm just trying to zoom in on this again so you can see. So once you've got your 2 L shapes like that, don't try and mitre them, because it's never going to work. The only mitre you've got is where you've creased that 1 piece. All right. Then what you want to do is measure the distance from the inside edge, from here to here. That should be the width of the stone. So then when you have your piece of metal that is here, that you've got that L shape, like that there, and like that there, because those are your L shapes, that distance from the end to the inside there is the width of the stone. The same on this piece, okay? Then what you can do, it's going to be slightly different because your bezel setting has got to be slightly smaller. And then what you want to do, because you've got that distance to the right distance, that distance to the right distance, all you got to do is move these up or down to get the right distance going this way. What you can do is perhaps drop your stone into place down here to put it all together, mark off where these come to, take the stone out, put these back together where the marks come. Just go perhaps a fraction smaller because it's a bezel that you're going to be making if you want to do and cut a bearing, and then you're going to get the perfect shapes. But don't even try to mitre that with that. It's not going to work. No one's going to worry about you've got flush fitting joints and mitres there, but that is the best way to do it, and that way you're going to guarantee you're going to get your perfect. You can do that with emerald cut, you can do that with rectangular cut stones as well, because as long as you get these distances here initially the same width as the stone, it's going to end up spot on. And as I said, no one's going to worry about then you cut that off to make that flush, you cut that off, and no one's going to worry that you've got a join down the side, especially if you use hard solder on this joint and hard solder on those, and that'll hold it all together. Yes, Louise, another, what is the time? Oh, nearly 5 o'clock. Let's another few questions, shall we?
Okay, Sasha is saying, how do I attach a bracelet together using two-sided short balled wires?
Say that again.
How do I attach a bracelet together using two-sided short balled wires? Balled as in a ball, not bald as in...
Not no hair.
Yeah.
So hang on, so you got a balled up wire. Yeah? How do we join it?
Two-sided.
Two-sided.
Short balled.
Like that? I don't know, not quite sure. I don't understand. Can you give us a bit more information? Join together a bracelet?
How do I attach a bracelet together using two-sided short balled wires?
I'm not quite sure.
Sasha, send me an email, lovely, louise at andrewberry.co.uk. And we'll have a look for you.
Sure. If it's that, I don't know. I'm not quite sure on the question. Sorry, I'm not quite sure. I can't visualise it.
Send me a picture or a doodle or something, and yeah, we can certainly have a look for you.
Yeah, by all means. I'll happily look at that for you. Yes, by all means.
Good.
Save me writing naughty-looking pictures on my board.
Yeah, don't do that. Actually, do that because it's funny. Okay. Delmar is saying, I asked you about the miscellaneous solder sheets I had, and I think you were correct about it being the silver content, the numbers on it, instead of them saying it is soft, medium or hard.
Yes, and
good, that's cool.
Greater the solder content, the harder the metal is. Yes.
Good. Maggie is saying open on both sides. I think that was the ring question, the one we were talking about earlier.
Half bezel.
Yeah.
Still not sure on the first part of the question.
Send me a picture or a doodle, please.
It's like a half bezel, So
is it like a just?
So say you make a bezel, yeah, like that, and then you just cut it. So it's like that. So
there's just a bezel, portion of a bezel at the top and a portion of a bezel at the bottom. That's what I'm seeing in my mind's eye.
That bit isn't right, but yeah, something like that.
That's the idea. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. How do you make it? Make a whole bezel and just file a section out? I think that's what. Yeah. That's what you mean. I'm not quite sure. So it's a full bezel, but just cut a section out of it. That's the easiest way to do it.
Is it?
Yeah, if it's square, do exactly that. Make a nice full rectangular section bezel, and then just cut a section out, perhaps like that. Yeah. And then just cut a section out of it, cut it wider, so you're left then with a little bit less. I think that's what you mean. But if in doubt, just drop Louise a picture of the sort of thing that you're after, and I'll happily answer that for you, by all means. Yes, Lou.
Okay. Susan is saying, Andrew, illustrate a martini clasp, martini prong.
I have no idea what a martini prong is. I know what a martini is.
Shaken, not stirred.
Gin and vodka. or vodka with vermouth.
Saline, a little bit of saline and an olive.
With a bit of olive, and if it's a bit of olive juice, make it a dirty martini.
Why not?
Oof, why not? Anyway, I'm not quite sure what a martini prong is going to be, sorry.
Okay. Oh, 3-prong.
Not quite sure.
Okay.
Not quite sure. Or show how to make it? Yeah, is that what the question was? Show how to make a three-claw prong?
Susan just said illustrate a martini prong.
Not quite sure. Don't know, sorry.
Stacey's saying, talking about the normal, come apart easily. Oh, I think this is come apart easily, but now they have, say, a prong on opposing sides that fit in a hole so they don't just pop apart. Okay.
Okay, so is that where you've got...
Gives illusion of it in a glass.
Which bit now we're looking at?
A martini prong, sorry. Yeah, they're not the same question, are they?
Oh, we'll go back to the ball one. Yeah.
Stacey's...
We'll go back to the ball one. So argument's sake, yeah, you've got a bracelet.
What do you... No.
With the ball that goes
this
through.
This is a different question again.
With the ball that
Andrew.
goes through. No, like that?
No.
Okay.
No, it's who asked the question about the... Sasha asked the question about the bracelet. So that's there. That's over there. I don't know whether Stacey... I'm getting confused now. I'm talking about the normal mag ones that come apart easily. I don't think that was a question. I think that was just... that was just a chat in the chat. I'm sorry if I've missed a question. I don't think I have. I hope not. Let me know if I have. John is saying, what's the best place to buy yellow gold? Where are you, John, in the world?
Yeah, where are you? Yeah. If you're in the UK, you can go to places like Cookson, Betts Metal Sales. You can go to somewhere like Metal Law. All those places are going to sell. You may find one cheaper than the other, but usually they're all pretty much the same sort of standard price. Yes, Lynn. That's
fine. Oh, yep. Stacey was just chatting to Dylan. That's fine. Great. Yep. Sorry, sticking my beak in. Let's see.
Yes.
Are you guys going to sell gold on your website? No. Sorry.
It's the problem being is the fact that you'd have to sell it at the price that you get it. If the price happens to drop, it would be cheaper for you to buy it from elsewhere than us, because you still have to buy it at the price you sell it, the price you buy it for. So
it's going to have to be it's a big dealer, isn't it? Really, rather than
definitely, absolutely,
rather than us.
Yes.
But yeah, if anybody can help John with his question in the chat, wherever you are, do pop it in the chat to help him out. Or Canada, anybody, if anybody knows or can recommend anybody to buy gold from in Canada, pop it in the chat and let John know, please. Okay. Helena is saying, would you prep the charcoal block with borax like an ingot mould?
No need. No need. You perhaps I would put borax upon the metal that you're melting, but the charcoal does not need any prepping. In fact, it's worse if you actually put borax into it. Simply just melt the gold or melt the silver with a little bit of borax or flux on the metal, because that'll help the metal flow, but you don't need to prep the charcoal block like you usually do with a ceramic crucible, because it is carbon, and you don't need to do anything with carbon crucibles or carbon charcoal blocks. Not at all. No. Yes.
David has just emailed me a picture of hollow bangle ring.
Hollow bangle ring?
Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me open this in a new tab.
Okay.
Oh, this is the video of yes.
Okay.
Why did you cut them like that and not? I was just thinking that's you, but yeah, that was relating to the question.
I can't remember. Why did I cut them on one side and not cut them in half to make them smaller? Was that the question?
Was the question, why did you cut them separately?
I can't remember. It was several years ago now.
Hang on. Okay.
I can't remember now.
The rhyme or reason then?
I can't remember. I can't remember in what context I
sorry,
cut them.
David, we may never
So
know.
they were the spaces that went between the top and the bottom. Why didn't I cut them both together? Perhaps I just wanted to cut them accurately, one than the other.
Andrew had to make the spacer rings smaller. Why did he not cut through the rings in one go?
I really don't know. I'd have to watch the film to understand what I did.
We will never know, obviously.
But
Sorry about that.
Are you talking about why didn't I cut? Why didn't I cut through both of them in one go, or why did I cut one partially, then cut one all the way through, and then went back to cut? Just how I felt on the day, I think that was, yes.
Great. Okay.
No rhyme or reasons, you say.
Just contrary. Art of David Amos. How can I make a bezel for a heart-shaped stone? How do I bend the middle part in the middle of the heart?
You don't bend it. Like we went and did those L shapes that we just did, what you want to do is do 2 of those shapes. And then you mirror that the other side and you do that. So you do have a join there and you would have a join there. Or what you could do is have a piece of metal and bend it down here so there's no join, and bend it and then try and do it that way. If you try and bend it up here, you're never going to get a true tight curve, and then perhaps you're going to get your one bit of metal to go around the heart in one go. Do it in 2 separate sections. You can measure that then against your you can measure that against your little stone to get right in here so it's nice and tight. It extends down here. Make sure that comes in nice and tight. Get a nice mitre joint here. Cut that flush here, then get another piece to do exactly the same thing to go from there round to here. Again, you can mitre that. When it comes down, you can find out where that overlaps that piece and cut through. And that's going to be your best bet to make a heart-shaped bezel. But don't try and do it in one. It's going to end up in tears. Yes, Lou.
Okay, Sandra has got a question for anyone. I've never used a pumice powder. Is that for a matte or satin finish? How do you use it on a damp cloth?
Yeah, I've actually got a bag of pumice powder that I bought months ago. In here, come to think of it, here's my pumice powder, and I've got 2, my water bottle falling over, and I've got 2 separate grits of pumice powder. I've got 60 mesh. It is dusty. I got a 60 mesh
have a mask, then
and 120 mesh. The 120 mesh looks very, very fine. The 60 mesh looks a little bit coarse. You would perhaps use it with a soft cloth. You've got to use it wet, otherwise that is going to happen. So that's what I would definitely do. You could use it with, you could use it on a cloth or a nylon handheld brush as well. You would get the pumice in like a tin or a Tupperware box with a bit of water. You would get the brush, you'd put the brush into it and then get the brush and rub the brush over the piece. You're going to get a directional finish because you brush, you're putting scratches going forward, so it is going to be directional. So if you go all in different directions, you're going to get lines that are going all over the place. So try and keep it in a nice single direction if you could possibly do it. As I say, I've got some pumice. I've been meaning to do some films on it, haven't got round to it yet, but I've bought some and I'm going to give it a go. So perhaps we can compare results. Yes, Lou, let's have another question, shall we?
Okay.
Can we make this our last one, perhaps? What is the time? 10 past. Let's make this our last question.
I think it was a question from Mike. Yes, it was a safety question, so I'd like to read out. Should I be wearing protective goggles like brazing goggles when soldering with MAP or propane gas to protect from eventual cataracts, for example?
Yes, I think you should always be wearing safety goggles. We've always got goggles
to filter out the...
To filter out. Okay, so I'm not, don't take any advice, okay, 'cause I'm not going to give you any advice on this because I don't know the actual legal implications or the technical implications from what you're doing. Because when Lee is melting down, it is quite a bright light, okay? So he puts on some platinum soldering glasses. That does filter out certain wavelengths, and sometimes you can see the metal clearer because you've got those lenses on. When it comes to using these sort of torches, these butane torches, the map torches, you don't need glasses to see what you're doing.
But will glasses impede?
But this is the thing. I think if you're using these sort of torches, if you use anything that is dark and makes what you're doing dark, it's going to be very hard to see. You'd have to work out what wavelength would be damaging to your eye. Do the glasses filter that out, and did these torches put out that wavelength that would damage your eye?
How would you find that out?
I have no idea.
But then we always say that you should err on the side of caution, and if you can wear them and still see what you're doing, then why not just wear them?
We always use these glasses. These glasses are conform to safety standards, as you all know by now. If you place an order on our store, £20 or over, we do give you a pair of these free because we care about your safety. They do not necessarily filter out bad rays, but do these torches put out those bad rays? I don't know. You'd have to find out.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
I haven't heard of anybody having cataracts.
Well, you don't know though, because has a study been done into it? So
I don't know.
Do we know? Have we spoken to 100 jewellers who use these day in, day out, and the ratio of?
I don't know.
That's if there's no study, it's always best to be careful. I would probably take it into your opticians next time you have an appointment and see what they say.
Do some soldering whilst you're checking.
Well, no, just show them, and they're going to be the person who will be able to give you the proper clinical advice.
And I know that glass blowers and also guys who do some lamp work, wrong camera, who do some lamp work, they do use special glasses. They look really cool, like purple glasses. And I know they do filter out. But then those torches are a lot brighter. And I think it's the brightness, it's the wavelength that those torches give out that is damaging to your eyes. And there's the added oxygen into the flame to make it hotter, but that increases the light, the certain wavelengths of the light that makes it hard to see, and I think that would damage your eyes. That's why they use their special nimidian, not presidium, because that's your gauge. It's like neodymium glasses, something like that they're called.
I would still ask an optometrist or an optical specialist who
definitely, yes,
personally, because at the end of the day we don't know, do we, with regards to if there's evidence to say that you should when you're using platinum and other metals, and other people have mentioned a couple of things in the chat, and if there is evidence, but then if there isn't evidence but you have concerns, then absolutely, because you only get one pair of eyes, don't you?
Exactly, yes. But that's a good question. We don't know the answer, but as I said, talk to a professional who knows about the light wavelengths and so forth that would damage it. And do these torches put out? I don't know. Yeah,
but then again, does it depend on how often you're using it as well? Perhaps, there's lots of factors are going to come into it, but certain things we do know you do need UV eye protection for.
Yes, there is no real. There is light coming from that flame. There is no white light coming from that flame. Is it white light that damages your eye? 'Cause I know with platinum you can't see, and a lot of the times you can't even see what's happening because of the intensity of the light. You put the welding glasses or the platinum glasses on, you can see right through, and that does filter out the light. So as Louise said, take it to an optometrist, take it to your opticians, ask their advice, because they're going to be the experts when it comes to your eyes.
Yeah, they'll know everything. Yeah, with regards to that. So definitely do that, because it's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it?
And let us know as well. Let us know what they say, because that would be a really interesting post.
Yeah.
Email, message, whatever. Yeah. Absolutely.
And possibly an interesting study for a student optician or optometrist or somebody.
That's this. Yeah, some people say ultraviolet. Yeah, ultraviolet glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultraviolet. I wouldn't want to say for definite, and don't forget any advice given in the chat you take upon yourself.
Yeah, it's undertaken at your own risk.
It is, yes. So as you said, any advice that we give, yes, is fine. But if you take any advice that is given in the chat, you basically do it at your own risk.
Yeah.
That's about it then. I think we shall call it a day.
Okie dokie.
Today, I want to go home and have some tea.
What we having?
No idea yet. Risotto. I'm going to go open a bottle of wine for that. Pasta. That'll do. Don't have to open a bottle of wine for that. We'll have a dry week, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us today for the question and answer for on the 25th. Oh, it's the 25th already.
I know.
Oh, 25th.
Time's just flying.
Absolutely. So thank you all for coming on today. Thank you very much for all your questions. Hope we've got some infrared lens. Yeah. Black pudding again. No black pudding, David.
We haven't had that for a while, have we?
We haven't had our black pudding for a while.
Black pudding and bacon salad.
Nice, with new potatoes. No. You're welcome, Dylan. You're more than welcome. But thank you everybody who's come on today with all the questions. Hope we have answered them. We answered them to our best ability. For those that we couldn't quite understand, please email louise@andrewberry.co.uk and we'll certainly come back to you to give you a bit of advice. Don't forget, we're still looking for job applicants. andrewberry.com/jobs. If you're interested in joining our team here on the bench and you've got some experience doing repairs and commissions, we would love to see you and see your CV and see some work. Yes, Louise?
I think Jill said about next Monday.
The workshop is Tuesday.
Yes, but we're not here next Monday. Well, we are here, but we're just not working.
It's a bank holiday.
So, yeah, it's a bank holiday here in the UK, so it's an excuse to close the shop, really, isn't it?
Well, we have to, don't we? We
don't have to.
We don't have to. We have no customers.
Just do.
Have no customers.
Yeah.
So next Monday there is no Q&A. It is going to be the following Tuesday. It is going to be our next monthly workshop. We're going to be doing sand casting. As usual, there'll be discount codes on the day to have a discount from all the products that we're going to be using on the day and on the workshop from our store. That's atthebench.store, as you can see down below here. So look out on social media for that. We're going to try and not use Eventbrite again if we could possibly help it, but we do have to try and sort something out in the meantime.
Next week is Tuesday.
Tuesday,
we're not here Monday.
Yeah, not here Monday. It's Tuesday and it's going to be a workshop sand casting.
You weren't sure what time on Tuesday we were we? Tuesday next week.
It's usually 2 p.m. But we'll let you know. We've got some jigging around to do with.
We'll have to make a decision on that tomorrow because people need to know sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
write it in your diary.
It's getting very full. My diary.
Yes, so we've got a few jigging around of the team here, and we shall certainly let you know tomorrow. We're going to try and get up some of the social media posts tomorrow. Just let you know all about the workshop that is coming up. If you're a paid member of At The Bench, you have free access to it. It's normally £15. If you're not a member, as I said, keep an eye on social media because we'll be posting up all the information that you need. If you're a paid member, it's free. If you're not a paid member and want to watch that particular workshop, it costs £15. And it's a good 3 hours jam-packed full of lots of hints and tips, demonstration, tools, techniques, and we're doing some casting as well whilst we are on the workshop. Anything else you want to say, Lou?
No, I'm looking forward to it.
At least it's not going to smell like it did with a cuttlefish like last month.
Well, if it does, something's gone wrong, isn't it?
It's not going to smell as bad as cuttlefish. Not at all. Anything else we need to say?
I don't think so.
Good. Analog diary, so vintage. It works, doesn't it? Your diary, Louise.
Oh, my diary, yeah, sorry, yeah. I like to cross things off because I write things down. This is my time management. Don't look at this because it's a shocking mess. My daughter's been writing in this as well. And when it's done, I tick it or cross it off and then I get that sense of satisfaction.
Great satisfaction.
Yeah, and I can see it just works for me. And sometimes all the important things get done. The things that aren't a priority there and then very often get put forward into the next week, maybe even the next week again. Yeah. But yeah, they're as good as done because they're in my book, and if they're not in my book, they're never going to get done.
That's why I don't have a book.
Because you got me and my book.
I tried, but it's just, I I just tell you now. So Louise, remember to do this, remember to do that. I write it in my diary.
I'd see in my diary,
Then I don't forget then.
Yeah.
Because you remind me. Right, everyone, thank you very much for joining us today. See you next Tuesday. We'll let you know on the time of the next day or so for our sand casting workshop, and our regular Q&A will continue the Monday after that. In the meantime, Louise, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Louise, and it's goodbye from me. Take care. See you all next week. Bye for now.